it 4 minutes early because we have a wonderful group of people here, and it seems that I don't want to make you sit around making conversation for yet another 4 minutes when we get on with the exciting task of our AGM. And I've been told that I'm not talking loudly enough. Right, welcome to the Trust AGM. This is a great occasion, certainly for us, because it's a coming together of all of our really important stakeholders, members of staff, governors, non-executive directors, our executive leadership, stakeholders from outside, and lots of wonderful guests who we'll be welcoming, and members of the public. You are very welcome indeed. Really important because this is where we give account of what we're doing for you, for your communities, and above all for our patients. And it's your chance to sort of participate in our showcase of what we're doing and then ask questions. And I hope there'll be lots of questions at the end. I hope some of you have been able to visit the three sort of areas that we were trying to showcase and highlight immediately before. Pedder's Way, which is our end-of-life suite, which we'll be talking about later on. Our simulation ward, so important for training and development. And lots of dummies that people can sort of do awful things to without risk of creating lasting fatal damage. And of course, the state-of-the-art endoscopy suite, which really is one of our crowning glories. And by the time we come to next year, we'll have lots more exciting stuff, including the new Digital Assessment Centre, the DAC, which is going to open later this year, and various other things. It's been a very interesting year, one of a huge amount of work, and I think a lot of transformation within the Trust. My predecessors 18 months ago left us a legacy of improvement, of a platform, of taking this hospital out of special measures. And so the challenge that we were faced with was, how do we build on that? How do we take the place forward? And how do we improve what we're doing? Many of the challenges haven't gone away, particularly the financial challenges, as you'll hear during the course of the day. But I think otherwise, we have been on a real journey of transformation. And it's huge credit to Alice, her team, all our staff, but also to my colleagues on the board, non-executive directors and now our associate non-executive directors, for ensuring that we are having the right kind of conversations. We are absolutely focusing on the right things that take us forward and don't allow us to slip back. So we are a key core component in our system. The geography of Norfolk and Waverley as such, as you know, is that the logistical distances and challenges are so great that it's an absolute necessity that we have a thriving DGH, not only in King's Lynn, but also in Norwich and also in Gorleston and Great Yarmouth. But of course, this is not to forget the very considerable numbers of patients that we look after who come from North Cambridgeshire and from Lincolnshire. And our devotion to them is as great, I can assure you, as our devotion to all of our other patients. Lots of change going on across the system. You may well have heard some of this. You will have read about it as not only the three acutes work increasingly closely together, but also as we work increasingly closely with our colleagues in community health, mental health, primary care, and the voluntary sector, and of course, social services. We will deliver better outcomes when we work better together. And this is something we're absolutely committed to. And yet at the same time, we need to recognize that each part of our system needs tailored care. So we're also really keen on ensuring that whatever we do collectively works effectively at place. So without further ado, I'm going to move to one of the most exciting moments in the agenda, which is to look at the minutes for last year's meeting. Are we content, those of you who've been able to read the minutes and who were here last year, that these are an accurate record of that meeting in Downham Market, which was a great pleasure to be in, Alice, in your hometown? Right. I think I'm going to take those minutes, if I may, as approved. And without further ado, as there are no matters arising from those minutes that are applicable today, I'm going to hand over to Alice. Oh, you want that?
It's mine. Good afternoon, and for the avoidance of doubt, I don't own Downham Market, I promise you. So I'm absolutely delighted to be standing here this afternoon and just thinking, I can't believe it's nearly a year since we were enjoying some sunshine, and it was probably our last bit of summer that we had actually last year when we reviewed the year. It's important to remember that this is the year 2023-24, not the current year, and I have to really take stock sometimes and remember just how recently we've done things. So we've got a few slides and a bit of a presentation, and we will start. I think you can see from all of that, we haven't stood still. And I think it was interesting just watching all of your faces as we looked at some of those photos. And one of the most inspiring stories that came out of that was around the piano. And it was around a patient who a colleague was discharging home and supporting them. And they were coming down in the lift and they were going out, and she spoke about how the piano, people played at the piano. And the lady said, I would just love to hear that. She was end of life and going home. And as they walked past, the nurse said, oh, I'm afraid it's not our evening. And they walked past the piano, and within moments, it started to play. Not on its own, I hasten to add. And they stood for a while she waited for her husband to bring the car up. And as she left, she said to the nurse, that was just exceptional, thank you. So the nurse came back in, it was early one evening, the nurse came back in and happened to see the pianist sitting in Costa. So she went across to him and said, thank you, that was just really special. And he said, I heard her wanting to listen to the piano. And this hospital has done so much for me, I thought I could give it back something, and really made that evening. And I think that just shows what an exceptional group of staff we have, but also patients and their carers. So, on behalf of all of us, we do this together. As you can see, we've had a huge year in numbers. We have had 88,000 plus emergency admissions through our emergency attendances. We've got 3,500 staff. 142 volunteers who give us over 20,000 hours worth of service. And as we spoke about our staff, and you will have seen on the slides, nearly 10,000 years worth of service. That is phenomenal. That's NHS service alone. So we do have a huge amount to be grateful for. I certainly can. Is that better? Sorry. You have to almost eat it. It's really odd, so I apologise for that. If we look at a review of the year, we continue to move forward with our estate. We're opening various elements of it, and we're trying to make sure that the estate that we've got is in the best state that it can be. We've talked about the simulation suite that you have seen. We've talked about the top of the endoscopy unit. The endoscopy unit is a fantastic unit, and we've made a brilliant education centre at the top. However, what really matters are the patients that we work with and those that use our services. And maternity services was rated as good, which has been phenomenal. The team have done a huge amount to ensure that we provide the services needed for our population. We've also strengthened our partnership in Norfolk and Waveney, as the chairman has already alluded to, and absolutely delighted that we are working with our acute colleagues on really starting to bring together services across, or service personnel, I should say, through a Connected Leaders programme, and really starting to think about how we do that. We've also done some work with Health Watch, and we've done some work with the hospice, and we've got a joint project with the hospice, which is seeing red, and we look forward to seeing the results of that. We have continued to maintain our focus on providing timely and urgent emergency care, and Fran, I know, will talk about that in a little while. And it's really ensuring that actually not only do we provide that care to people who need it urgently, but we also manage our waiting lists. Now, waiting lists are often talked about in the press and very negatively. We are continuing to make improvements and will continue to do so. Our elective care is really important, and maintaining our community to be able to maintain their lives is critical to us. But we can't do any of that without our staff wellbeing and engagement. And so we have supported a number of staff through personal support, where they can have extra healthcare, they can have clinical psychology, and we've also done training and development to make sure that individuals have what they need to enable them to give the care that they need to. But that's for all of our staff, so really important that people access it. If we look at the quality, in general terms, I sometimes wonder how it is to be on the receiving end of us. And for those of you that know me in my nursing role, you will know that actually that feels really important. Often the way we think we are is not the way others see us. And so we've really made that a part of our quality. We are making considerable improvements to our planned care, eliminating over the 65 weeks. We focused on initiatives to improve our discharge, to make sure that patients are home for lunch. They're not still sitting in our beds or our very warm wards at the moment, very late into the evening, and that we're really starting to think about what they need. We have continued to focus on recruitment. The recruitment that we have has been phenomenal. We are starting to see lots of applicants apply for jobs, but I'm sure our education team through Helen will talk about some of that this afternoon. Suffice it to say, when I arrived in King's Lynn about 3 years ago, our maternity waiting list for staff to come was very low. People didn't want to come to King's Lynn. We've made such a significant change. Our midwifery units, sorry, I'm being told I'm too quiet. It's not something that usually happens. Our midwifery unit is now fully staffed, and we have a waiting list of people wanting to come to King's Lynn, which makes a huge difference. If we look at our staff and our community diagnostics, again, we've done a huge recruitment for the Community Diagnostic Centre, and that will be opening in the autumn. And we are one of the few, I think, I looked at my colleagues on the right-hand side, we're one of the few who are recruited to. We have recruited and retained our diagnostic staff, and they are now working in the organisation to understand a little bit about us and a little bit about what we do. More than 1,000 patients have been recruited to research studies. That's phenomenal for an organisation of our size. We work with other organisations, but such as Cambridge or Norwich, but we also do research studies on our own. And I think the expression of our previous medical director was we punch above our weight with clinical research, so that's really good. However, what we're going to do now is I'm going to hand over to Fran, who is going to talk to us a little bit more about our urgent and emergency care. Thank you, Fran.
I'm not as tall as you, Alice, so I'm going to have to... Hello. Good afternoon. I'm Fran Roos-Smith, and I'm DGM for the Urgent Emergency Care. And I'm really, really pleased to be here to tell you what I think is a real success story about urgent emergency care. I don't have a huge amount of time to tell you everything, so I've selected a few pieces that I think you'd want to hear about. And also wanted to say that you think about emergency department, but actually the work that's gone on, it has been the whole trust has worked so collaboratively to ensure that our journey has been one of improvement. So, as I said, I've chosen a few key areas to look at. These you will all probably know about and have heard about, and on the news, they get the limelight, don't they? So they're called emergency access standards. These aren't all of them, but I won't confuse things with lots of metrics. But very simply, I wanted to firstly start to talk about ambulance handovers within 60 minutes. And where we were a year ago, was that 60.6% of patients were not handed over from our ambulances within the hour. Now, our ideal is 15 minutes. We were a long way short from even getting to that 60-minute mark. And where are we now? 96.7% of our ambulances offload within the hour, and 80% actually within 30 minutes now. So I'll go into that a little bit more about how we did that shortly. Triage within 15 minutes. If you've been unfortunate to come into ED, the first thing that should happen is that you should be what we call eyeballs, if you like, but it's a triage, is to understand what part of the service you need the most. That should always happen within 15 minutes. Where we were this last year, we were at 64.7%. Now, this means that there's patients that are walking. You might walk in, you still have to be triaged within 15 minutes. You might come by ambulance, same thing applies. Also with paediatrics. We're now reaching 81.4% of our patients are being triaged. Our ideal is 85%, so we still have a little bit of work to do, and some months we do hit that 85%. So a vast, vast improvement there. The one thing you probably all have heard of is the 4-hour performance. That means you should be seen, sorted, diagnostics done, and moved out of the A&E department within our 4 hours. One of our worst performance last year was at 55%, 55.2%. I'm really pleased to say that as at the moment, we are at 73.4%, and we are maintaining that improvement. And it's took an awful lot of work from everybody, but I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how we set up regionally with our performance. I feel like I'm shouting now, am I? No, good. It's echoing. So just so we can show off a little bit more, the 4-hour performance. Sorry. It's all right. Okay. Okay. So just as an example, so obviously we want to be the best, the QE wants to be the best. And we didn't start in a very good place. So this is showing us a 4-hour performance, a particular week in the 7th of January in 2024, where our performance was only 42.69%. We were ranked 30th out of 37 hospitals in the region. I'll linger for a little bit. As of the 1st of April, our performance improved to 70.81%, and we ranked 8th out of 37. So I just wanted to share that with you because that was a really, truly marked improvement. So how did we do it? I can't cover off everything, as I said earlier, but I will cover a few key milestones and initiatives along our way. We refocused our leadership teams and empowered our senior nurses. You heard earlier that we had a new executive team, and we had some strong leadership that was really truly focused on us getting a better performance in our UEC. We realised that perhaps COVID and many years of perhaps not performing at what we would like to as healthcare givers, that people's morale was really quite low. And we started on with our nurses to ensure that they felt empowered. They could say that this isn't good enough. We need to do better. What can we do? So we've had a long journey. We've still got a little way to go to give that empowerment to our senior nurses in ED, but across the urgent emergency care departments to speak up and have the opportunity to say what they think is best, what's going wrong, and how can we improve. So we have listening events, time to think and reflect, so that we can learn and listen. We knew we needed help, so we looked to have our external support. So the NHS England, ESIS, which is Emergency Care Intensive Support Team, were asked to come and help us with any thoughts that they have. A very experienced team. And so we looked outwards to try and improve our internal work. That was very supportive, and they are impressed with our work and don't come and visit us quite so much as they used to. But they are there for us all of the time. So we wanted to learn. We started the difficult conversation with staff that it was not acceptable to have ambulance as an extension of our ED department. And what I mean by that, I don't know whether you've ever seen, probably on television, but outside our doors regularly were ambulances queuing outside for hours and hours. And we got ourselves in a place where we thought, well, that's probably safe for those patients. They're in, we haven't got any more room inside, so they're being looked after. But actually, you probably do know that what that's doing is depriving that next patient of getting that ambulance come to help them and support them in the community. So it just was not acceptable. So we had those difficult conversations, and within that, we had to change the way we think and the way we work in our ED department. So we relaunched our escalation plans. We made it okay and safe to make those decisions that ambulance can come in. So we wanted to learn how to flex our walls of our ED department. Corridor care has been all in the news, hasn't it, recently? And it's quite contentious. But if you do it in a planned way, that's understood, you've selected your patient the right way, and you have an exit strategy for those patients, it's better than leaving that patient in the community without an ambulance whatsoever. We do it when we have to, but we try to undo it when we can. I mentioned that this was a whole trust effort, and it truly was. We talk about exit block out of ED is a term we sometimes use when we can't move patients out of ED, and it's the trust's fault. It's those boards and people in the background, they're not moving patients out quick enough. We have started, and I think Alice mentioned it, Home Before Lunch, some initiatives and some real focus on the back door of how do we make capacity for those patients that need a bed that are in A&E do actually get to those places quickly enough. And we can now feel it biting. It's taking some traction. It's took a while, but everybody knows that the front door ED is everybody's responsibility, not just the ED staff. We talk about our internal professional standards and specialty pathways. We started an awful lot of work trying to encourage other specialties within the trust to understand how important it is that we get flow out of our ED and that patients are seen within a timely way. That work continues, and we have a thing called ATED, which is Alternatives to ED. And that is just saying, where's the right place for this patient really to go? So that could be SDEC, AMU, SAU, Surgical Assessment Unit, and same-day emergency care. So we're still working on that, but we've made great roads into that. So yeah, that picture is if the new zone, we call it Zone 6, by the way, but that opened in October. It is a wonderful environment. I hope you don't ever have to see it as a patient, but if ever you want to come and have a look, if you're on site, it is really, really lovely environment to work. It's good for the patients, and also our members of staff have space to work. They have the IT they need. Visually, they can see their patients all around them, and it's made a huge difference to how we think and work within our ED to keep our flow. And I would absolutely want to say now, thank you to the League of Friends who donated over £120,000 for us to find the critical equipment to go into that area. That was striker frames, resus trolleys, Drager units, all fancy stuff like that. But without that support, we would have struggled. So thank you. We also learned from our colleagues from NHS England about new ways of working. And earlier this year, we opened an acute assessment unit. That area is a trolleyed area. We reshaped the way we work with our staff, so it's quite heavily resourced with medical workforce. And the intention is to try and get that patient out of hospital within 12 hours or as quickly as possible as we can. So that has helped our performance in ED because we can pull patients through to that area as soon as possible, and often turn that patient round. We're doing great work. 50% or more patients do get out within 12 hours. So it's made a lot of difference, and the sense of that you don't need to stay in hospital. What we do is we admit patients sometimes, and we could have turned them around. And once they're in hospital, you know that we like to keep them in bed and things like that. Finally, we recognised that the staff in ED, and I'm specifically talking about nursing staff here, although it was reflected in medical workforce as well, but 50% of the nursing staff in our A&E department were agency, so transient staff in that department. That's an awful lot of work, the workforce that wasn't, I wasn't saying they're not good, but they weren't particularly committed to the Queen Elizabeth, and they weren't here for the long duration. That was causing a problem, which was quickly recognised, and the execs agreed to launch a campaign with a recruitment company. I can say now we have a handful of vacant posts only that we have to utilise bank or agency. So we've got a lot of work to do with new staff, but we've got staff who want to be there and staff who are committed to QEH, and hopefully we will continue to improve our performance in all those areas I've mentioned. Thank you. I'd like to hand over to the rehab team.
Let's see if this is echoing. Is it echoing? No, so okay. Good. Okay. Not yet. So my name's Anne-Marie. I'm one of the rehab team leads here at the QEH. There's two more of us who can't be here today. And we co-lead a staff group of about 140 staff members. That covers physiotherapists, occupational therapists and unregistered staff. So it's a really big old team and we cover lots of different areas in the trust. So thank you for inviting us to come and speak to you about our service and about what we're proud of here. And first of all, we're really proud of our diverse workforce. We cover 12 different specialties across inpatients and outpatients, and we were affectionately known as the team that gets everywhere. So you can see on the screen where we cover, but there's not one area of this trust that you can't find either an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, or one of our unregistered staff members. There's lots that we're really proud of here at the QEH. One of the main successes is going to be covered in more detail with Lydia and Ogechi in a few minutes, and that's the development of our primary joint replacement pathways. So I won't talk about that. I will not talk about something that I'm not the specialist lead in. But one of the things that we are really proud of here at the QEH is the reduction in waiting lists. Like Alice said, we're really quite focused that it's about timely care for the right patients by the right team. And we had a really long waiting list for non-obstetric access to our pelvic health team. So 16 months, that's a long old time that you've got to wait. It's in the last year, it's been reduced from 16 to 8. And there's still a lot of scope for further improvement within the pelvic health team. So really proud of the improvements, but the continued improvement that will happen as well. We're really proud that we've been able to be successful in gaining new posts in many areas. This includes the Macmillan team and the neonatal specialties, and these are having huge impacts for our patient groups in these areas. So it's just showing the diverse nature of our team and what we can do to support our patients at the right time. And as one of the leads for the rehab service, one of the things that I'm most proud of personally is the fact that out of the previous 12 Trust Living Our Value Awards, 4 of them came from the rehab team, which is just such a huge number. And that just gives you an insight into our staff group, what the values they hold align very much with what the Trust is moving towards. And what we see as important. So 4 out of the last 12 being rehab team, and we're like, go rehab. We love it. So what I want to do now is pass you on to Lydia and Ogechi to talk about primary joint.
Good afternoon. So my name's Lydia. I'm the orthopaedic team lead for the inpatient side. I'm here to talk to you about our pathway recovery for how we have changed our care pathway for therapy for patients coming in for elective joint replacements. We have gone from a almost 9 to 5 service to now providing evening care Monday to Friday. We've worked very closely with our anaesthetist colleagues to collaborate with them on how we can enable patients to get moving the same day that they have their surgery. There's evidence shown us that we mobilise you early, your outcomes are far better. We've done this by providing education all the way along the pathway. So as soon as you're listed for a joint replacement, you're provided with the opportunity to come to one of our in-person education sessions. I'm really pleased to say that over 50% of those patients currently on the waiting list for a hip replacement have already accessed and attended that. And over 66% of those waiting a knee replacement have also been along to one of these classes that Ogechi runs. They enable our patients to better understand what they can expect when they come in for their joint replacement, so they can go home, optimise how they're going to live and start really waiting well before their surgery. So the surgery isn't the beginning of their pathway, it's the culmination of everything that they put into it beforehand, so they can get the very best out of it. Rather than sitting and just waiting, they're now actively waiting well. We've also looked at changing the pathway post-operatively, so our patients can access the appointments that they need to in a more timely manner.
This has been done with patient initiation of follow-up. So we're avoiding unattended and unrequired appointments. And we've seen a great reduction in DNAs, non-attended appointments, which has improved our waiting list. And really the proudest thing is that on our post-op patient satisfaction survey, we're getting feedback that patients are over 90% satisfied with how they have done through their surgical process. So where we've gone from not having a twilight service, where our average length of stay for knee replacements is about 3.6 days. This June, we're down to a 1 day stay for your knee replacement. I'm really pleased to say we've actually achieved 35 day case uni knee replacements and our first day case shoulder replacement. We're now looking bigger and moving to our next goal of a day case knee replacement, total knee replacement. For our hip replacements, that length of stay has also seen a drastic reduction. We've gone from a stay of 3.8 days to now 1.58 days. And we're next looking to move to improving the education part for our patients awaiting shoulder and major foot surgery so they can have the same access as our primary hip and knee replacement patients. And Getty will now give you some of our wonderful feedback.
I'm Ogechi. What did I do? Okay, good. Okay, as a result of all these wonderful things my team members have said, we've got amazing feedback from our colleagues and the patients who have accessed this care. They're really amazed. They found it really helpful. It makes them to feel like their recovery has begun straight away and is quite beneficial. For our colleagues as well, it helps them to assist the patients even better. Patients know what to expect after surgery. There is improvement in their recovery. And then having physiotherapists available during the evenings has made it really good for them, facilitated the achievement of their goals. So that's what we've been able to achieve, and that really makes us very glad. Now I'm going to pass you on to Helen, who is part of our education facility.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Helen Muncy. I'm head of the education faculty, and it's an absolute real pleasure to join you at the AGM to share with you the faculty achievements and developments. It's also an opportunity to thank the education faculty team, and I do hope they've taken the opportunity to listen in today. It's their vision and commitment to education, and they should be very proud of what they've achieved. So I have a flashy recorded presentation. Tell us this, that as a trust across within the east of England, we are one of the largest recruiters of healthcare support workers who are new to working in healthcare. This is successful due to the GROW programme. This programme really supports development of fundamental care skills. In addition, Kelly and Toya, our GROW facilitators, provide outreach support to the clinical areas and have launched a buddy system. The programme and support they offer has recently received an NHSE commendation. So that's one of the awards that we've received so far. I next move on to recruitment. So nationally, the picture is showing to us that there is a decline in the number of direct entry recruits and learners to healthcare programmes. So as an organisation, the Trust has supported increased apprenticeship growth. We have approximately 83 learners who are currently on programmes that will support them to become registrants of future workforce in the future. Now, the numbers are mostly nurse and associate and nurse apprenticeships. However, we have operating department practitioners, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, and diagnostic radiographers. So we have a wide range of future registrants that we are growing. Now, moving on to some of the programmes that we deliver within the faculty. The Prepare programme, this launched in 2023, and this supports learners across pre-registration programmes in preparing them to transition to new registrants. The programme opens up an opportunity for them to network and discuss career opportunities, and it really fosters a trust sense of belonging. The programme has been shared across the East of England networks and wider, and we are currently working with NHSE to support development of a programme across the East of England. We share with pride. The Preceptorship Academy programme this year successfully gained the NHSE Interim Kite Mark Award, and I think you saw the picture earlier on. In addition to this, the Preceptorship programme also has an RCN, Royal College of Nursing accreditation. Now, this is demonstrating our education quality journey that we are taking. More recently, we received the NHSE Pastoral Care Quality Award with the recruitment team. Now, this is really important. It demonstrates that we are providing high quality pastoral care to our internationally educated nurses and midwives during their recruitment processes and their employment. We have seen significant investment in the education facilities at the Trust. The development of the Education and Innovation Centre and refurbishment of the Training Centre has been a phenomenal resource. In addition, this year we launched the Simulation Ward. This was due to the financial support from the charitable funds. Thank you. The increased access to enhanced simulation education provides a safe learning environment for our staff and learners to really gain confidence and competence in a core range of skills: team working, communication, fundamental care, learning from incidents, and also emergency preparedness. Realistic practice is key to developing proficiency in patient experience and care skills. This investment supports our future ambition to develop an accredited simulation school. In addition, the faculty also offers a suite of patient experience education days. Now, these include the Royal College of Nursing accredited Caring with Kindness programme, bereavement and frailty is everyone's business. Patient experience is what receiving care feels like for the patient, their family and carers. It is a key element of quality alongside providing clinical excellence and safer care. So our next step on that journey, we will be applying for RCN accreditation for the bereavement and frailty programmes as well. One of our most recent programmes that we launched at the beginning of the year was the Thrive Graduate Programme. This was with funding supported by the Norfolk Initiative for Coastal and Rural Health Equalities, NICHE. That's not easy to say. The funding has supported proof of concept. This programme is co-designed with Dr. Teresa Shaw and co-delivered by experts from the QEH, the NICHE team, and more recently, NHSE. So it's time now to move on to the presentation. Now, I do need to give you a little bit of warning as I move on to this. Now, it does start quite fast-paced, it is upbeat, and there is some flashing.
Welcome to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in King's Lynn, where our passion meets your potential. We offer a unique learning environment for students. Experience hands-on training in our new state-of-the-art facilities and enjoy the supportive atmosphere of a smaller hospital.
our education faculty is committed to helping you grow, thrive, and succeed. Within easy reach of Norwich, Cambridge and Peterborough, King's Lynn is also the gateway to the stunning West and North Norfolk coast, perfect for a spot of downtime.
Recognised for excellence, the QEH received a National Preceptorship Award for Nursing Quality in 2024.
We have big ambitions to become a teaching hospital and are proud to be part of the new hospital programme with a complete rebuild by 2030.
Worried about accommodation costs?
Bursaries are available to help cover your placement, making it easier for you to study with us.
Join us at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital and be part of a future where excellence starts here with you.
Hello, I'm Andrea Bogle, the Undergraduate Education Lead for Temporary Staffing and Healthcare Support Workers. 2024 marks the second full year of the nationally recognised GROW induction programme, where we received a special commendation from NHS England. This comprehensive programme is designed to instil our healthcare support workers with the necessary skills, knowledge and values to excel in their roles, ensuring the highest quality of patient care. Secondly, we remain committed to providing comprehensive pastoral support to all healthcare support workers and clinical staff on the bank of all bands. We recognise the invaluable contributions they make and ensure they're fully supported as members of Team QEH.
Hello, I'm Kirsty Ann Secker, Undergraduate Education Lead for Apprenticeships and Pre-Registration Learners at Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Our team oversees placement coordination for a variety of pre-registration nursing programs. We work closely with our nursing degree apprentices, providing structured learning and workplace experiences to achieve their qualifications. Simultaneously, we support our apprentice nursing associates as they develop their clinical skills and knowledge. We also collaborate with universities to ensure seamless integration of direct entry nursing students into our clinical environment. Additionally, we facilitate a structured program called Prepare for second and third year learners, equipping them for the challenges of registration. Throughout their journeys, we guide students in their employment decisions, aiming to retain their valuable skills within our hospital. Our commitment is to nurture the next generation of skilled and compassionate nurses.
Hello, I'm Rebecca Gaylor, Postgraduate Education Lead for the Education Faculty at Queen Elizabeth Hospital, King's Lynn. I lead on the Interim Quality Mark Approved Preceptorship Programme for newly qualified nurses, midwives and allied health professionals. This is designed to provide additional support and guidance during their crucial first year of practice. I also lead on the International Nurse Programme, providing comprehensive training and resources to help them adapt to the UK healthcare system. For this, we have received the Pastoral Support Quality Award for the support we delivered to our international colleagues. Through these programmes, we aim to make the experience of our new registrants as fulfilling and as informative as possible.
Since the start of 2024, we've made significant strides in improving data collection and reporting across all our education programs. We make use of business intelligence tools to provide valuable insights, empowering us to make data-driven decisions that elevate the learning experience. Additionally, we've been excited to develop our new education platforms. These platforms seamlessly supplement our existing preceptorship, student induction and Thrive programs, ensuring essential materials, templates and activities are accessible from anywhere, anytime. We hope to continue to grow in these areas as the hospital moves towards digital maturity.
Hello, I'm Kerry Jones, Postgraduate Education Lead for Clinical Skills, Quality and Risk here at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. We're committed to enhancing patient experience, safety and staff skills. For patients, our programmes prioritise compassionate care. We deliver the RCN accredited Caring with Kindness training, promoting a patient-first approach for all staff. We also hold bereavement study days to model best practice in caring for deceased patients and bereaved relatives, and run Frailty is Everyone's Business to raise awareness of frailty and its additional care considerations. Additionally, our Meal Mates training programme is improving mealtime experience for patients. For staff accessing our clinical skills programmes, we offer training on essential skills like cannulation, venipuncture, catheterisation, IV medications, NG tube and much more, making sure that staff have the necessary skills to deliver care in their areas. Our divisional educators also support with competency sign-off and clinical skill support on ward areas.
through that presentation. So I'd like to introduce Nikki Plager, who's going to tell you more about the Thrive programme.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nikki Plages. I'm the Deputy Head of the Education Faculty, working alongside Helen to provide leadership for education across the organisation. And I think from what we've seen today, we are so proud as a team about the offer that we have across the Trust. And I've been here a long time, and the journey that education has been on over recent years is really exciting and really transformative. So it's a really positive position to be in. So today I really wanted to talk about the Thrive programme, which has been one of our more recent additions to our education suite of programmes. And Thrive essentially is a foundation leadership programme combined with quality improvement. Now, we recognise we provide preceptorship programmes for our newly qualified registrants, but after preceptorship, those first 12 months in the new post, there's a gap in terms of, preceptorship onward. So this is where Thrive comes in to help bridge that gap and support staff on that transformational leadership journey. So this is a 12-month programme, and we started in February this year. So this is our first cohort pilot. And what we have seen already is a really positive progress, both for the programme but also the applicants that started on the programme. So currently this is an application process, and the applicants go through a shortlisting process, and this also helps look at what quality improvement project they would like to achieve throughout this programme. So we currently have 7 delegates in the organisation who are on this programme, from a mix from urgent and emergency care, medicine, and also clinical support services. And early feedback from what we can absolutely see is that growth already in that foundation leadership and their confidence. They've also spent time with some of the executive team to really see what insightful contributions everybody in the organisation contributes to. We also have an education platform, which you can see on here is our WordPress site, and we use WordPress to support a lot of our education delivery so that resources are there, accessible anytime, any place. And we also have a digital analyst within our team, as you've seen from the presentation, and he also supports the development of a lot of our educational platforms that support the delivery of our education. So we've done a lot of work around developing these staff, and it absolutely bridges that gap between preceptorship and what is next to help prepare them for their next post and their development. I'll hand you over to Sarah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sarah Parr, and I'm the lead advanced practitioner for Queen Elizabeth Hospital, working alongside the education faculty and as an advanced practitioner within paediatrics. Advanced practitioner is a general term used for professionals who demonstrate extended roles or scope of practice beyond that of their initial registration. These practitioners are experienced, senior qualified staff representing nursing, midwifery and allied health professionals, and are found within many specialities here within Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Our practitioners demonstrate a high level of practice, underpinned by a master's level qualification or equivalent, and demonstrate a high degree of autonomy and complex decision making. At QEH, we currently have 22 qualified practitioners and 24 more in training, undertaking the MSc degree in advanced practice pathway via either a funded or apprenticeship route. Our advanced and consultant practitioner team offer advanced specialty experience gleaned over decades of practice, many having their professional development supported by QEH. They act as a clinical role model and knowledgeable resource in the leading, development and delivery of high standard clinical care, which is responsive to service provision and our service users' needs. With many of our practitioners pioneering new ways of working, and some working alone within roles whose full potential is yet to be established, to better support practice, we have created Advance. Advance is our new established community of practice, facilitated by myself and a few consultant practitioner colleagues. It's the Trust's first community of practice, bringing together trainee, advanced and consultant practitioners. It aims to provide opportunity to develop a collective vision for advanced practice at QEH, developing professional identity and opportunity to learn from and about others' diverse practices, deepening knowledge and expertise through shared learning and opportunities. It provides a safe and supported space to ensure our novices feel comfortable to experiment with their learning under the direct influence of an established peer group. Wasn't me. It provides a safe and supported space to ensure novices feel comfortable to experiment with their learning under the direct influence of an established peer group. Invited speakers connect hospital-based specialists and open a dialogue between inside and outside perspectives. Case-based discussions enriched understanding of clinical policy, process, and shared learning. Collectively, it provides opportunity to develop an awareness of our corporate world, improves understanding of the governance processes, as well as embedding professional and national requirements around the advanced practice role. Aligning QEH with Norfolk and Waveney ICS, Advanced Practice Faculty, and NHS England. Within a rapidly evolving landscape of healthcare, advanced and consultant practitioners play a pivotal role in facilitating experienced clinical expertise which supports the provision of high quality, safe care and future-proofs service delivery for our hospital users. The future for advanced practice holds exciting potential. And that concludes our overview from our education faculty at QEH. And I now hand over to Chris Benham. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Hopefully somebody's checking how many microphones we've got left. Fourth time lucky, I think. So thank you to all my colleagues. Lots of really exciting events happening all over the trust. I think, Helen, you described your video as upbeat, energetic and flashing. You'll be pleased to know that none of that appears in the financial performance overview. So you may remember when Alice flashed up the series of numbers, sort of our trust in numbers. Our income, so our turnover, is about £320 million. And with the exception of £19,000 of that, we spent all of it on all the activities that you know we do. And actually, that was in line with our plan. So we planned to break even and we delivered a small surplus, and that's for the 5th year running. So a real achievement by the organisation. You may also know that the NHS has to deliver its services more efficiently every year, and that challenge gets harder and harder. So we either have to do more things with the same resource, or we have to do the same things with less resource. I think it's one of the only industries that has to do that year on year and recurrently. And last year we delivered a bit of a record for us of just under £11 million worth of efficiency, a real ask. And it's not done by the finance team, this is done by all of my colleagues within the trust. We had a couple of challenges. We did receive some additional funding in the year from our commissioners. As you heard from Fran, our urgent and emergency care pathways don't get any easier. They don't get less busy. So we've had some real pressures, particularly within our ward bed capacity, to keep the flow of those patients through the hospital. You will also know from the national press that last year there was significant disruption to our elective recovery work through the National Industrial Action. But as you also heard, we've undertaken more work within our main theatres for the fail-safe system of the rack construction of the hospital, and that took out significant capacity within our theatres, again impacting our elective recovery programme, but those were two real challenges that we faced last year. We also had another record, which is how much money we spend on capital. So this is the longer term investment in the hospital, and we spent just under 56 million on elements to improve the hospital. So in summary, a good year. We delivered our statutory requirements, both in terms of our income and expenditure performance, but also our capital programme. For those that are really interested and you don't quite believe me, if you look at page 224 of the main pack, you will see that our external auditors, KPMG, also believe those numbers and have given us a clean audit opinion. It's called unqualified, but it means that our accounts show a true and fair view. So what did we spend our £56 million on? Here's just a short list. Just over half of that was spent on the fail-safe system. So this is steel structures to support the roof, primarily on the first floor here and primarily in theatres last year. A significant work programme, not just for our estates team, but also for our clinical team in continuing to deliver elective recovery. We also completed the works. If you came into site, the main entrance on the left-hand side, you will have seen a bit of a construction site. It's nearly complete. It's had a couple of names over the past few months. It started life as a diagnostic assessment centre, and it's going to open as a community diagnostic centre. It does exactly the same thing. So there's some diagnostic equipment within there. And that's a considerable capacity increase for not just the hospital, but also the surrounding communities. We spent, I think you saw some of the pictures on Alice's video, the new, what zone was it? Zone 6. Within the ED department. It is a super functioning area. It's modern healthcare facilities. And we also finished, I think it's last week, but started last year, the new resus area, which again is just a fantastic place to be. We did put some more, sorry, did I miss something?
Just not if you're a patient.
No, clearly. We also, another piece of diagnostic kit is a gamma camera. This follows tracing, so can help in diagnosis of illness. And then finally within digital, the new word for information technology for older people in the audience, our electronic patient record, which we signed off only a couple of weeks ago, a contract across 3 acutes, and more investment in our digital infrastructure. So this covers everything about Wi-Fi, servers, and more importantly, some of the kits that people use to access our systems. My final slide is just going through some of the highlights of the great work the charity does. Clearly, we are indebted to everybody that donates, that fundraises for the charity. It does an awful lot of work over and above what the trust is able to fund. You can see here, and I think it again was on one of Alice's slides, we do have just over £4.7 million worth of charitable funds at our disposal. And although within last year we didn't spend all of that, you will know that we spent over £1 million on Peddars Way. So that I think was one of the tours that happened. And only last Friday we had the delivery of a robot to start robotic surgery at the trust, which again is another exciting innovation. Clearly there's some other aspects there. You saw throughout the presentations what the charity can do to help improve both staff, patient and carers experience here. And we are more than grateful for all of those donations that come through. I'm now going to hand over to Antonia, I think. It is you, though.
It is me. Sorry about that. I'll move very quickly on from the terrible picture, if you don't mind. So thank you very much for inviting me to present the Governor's report. The Foundation Trust members are vital to our work, and our membership is broadly reflective of the populations that we cover, with 2/3 coming from West Norfolk. All staff are members unless they opt out on joining. So our database sits about just over 10,000 people on it. We will be inviting all members to join in the elections, which will be happening in January. So that will be fun to do. We have two new appointed governors to the council. These come from the College of West Anglia, Rachel Boast, who joined us in May 2023, and Alexandra Kemp from the Borough Council of Kings Lynn and West Norfolk. And we really appreciate their knowledge and feedback from their organisations. They're a real help to us as a council. So the Council of Governors met 5 times in public during the year. We have updated our terms of reference with a lot of help from the Director of Corporate Affairs and Chris, our chair, to try and become a little bit more relevant. We got a bit lost, perhaps. So staff culture has now been added into the membership and engagement group to bring a bit of more of a focus for staff and the trust response to national staff surveys and the people pulse work. The patient experience group now mirrors the quality agenda and works on safety and effectiveness as well as patient experience. The strategy and business planning group is the strategic forward planning group in the council that aims to bring the public voice into the future direction of the QEH. So within the groups, we work closely with our exec leads and non-exec directors to bring issues raised to the correct forum for discussion. We receive departmental presentations and topics of interest, and we are up to date with our knowledge of what is happening within the hospital. We also receive an excellent weekly email from a communications team on what's happening within the trust, and we use this to do our main work, which is to inform the members and the wider public of what's happening within the trust. It's disappeared. So main focus this year has been to increase our activity both internally and externally in the trust. It all sort of died a bit in COVID, so we've got some real work behind us doing this. Within the hospital, the governors are on a host of fora within them, from the new QEH forum to charitable funds to cancer services user group. And we do a lot of quality assurance visits, which is visiting the wards with other members of staff and volunteers to feedback on what we see. And we've done over 30 of those in the year. Every fortnight, we have a Meet Your Governors table in the foyer, and all sorts of people come and chat to us, most patients and family members. Some staff drop by to talk about the hospital and how it's doing. And we're also involved in the staff awards, which is always quite fun to do. Externally, we attended the College of West Anglia Freshers' Fairs, the Great East Anglia Run, Kings Lynn Pride, and held a very successful venting diabetes healthcare event. In a change from the normal, we moved towards prevention rather than what to do once you've done the disease. So we're starting to echo again. And we held it downtown in the Duke's Head and Tuesday Marketplace. Our on offer was a free fingerprint blood glucose test, which is very popular with many people, including myself. Just got to check we're not all dying of diabetes. And we had speakers from the Integrated Care Board, our consultants and Health Watch. Thank you, Alex, for speaking at that. Over 100 people attended, and the feedback was very, very positive. Perhaps the most unique offer that we have is, as the Council of Governors, is our offer to attend all patient participation groups in the GP for the GP practices that we serve in our communities. So there are about 20 GP practices that regularly refer into QEH, and we have contacted all of them to offer governor representation. Some groups have not reformed that well after COVID, but all the ones that have asked for us to attend do, and we go, and they really appreciate the governor input. And this is not done by other Council of Governors around the place. The GP practices feel it's a real fast track for them to hear what is happening in the hospital, and we gain really rich feedback from them about what's happening to their patients. So all in all, it's been a very busy year, and we look forward to being critical friends in the future. Thank you. I hand on to Chris.
Oh, hello. Is that double? There we go. It's like a relay, isn't it? Okay, hopefully you can hear me without echo, because that would be terrible. I think what you can see is this afternoon we've just demonstrated some of what we do, and it is only some. We work with an amazing team of people who they're ordinary people doing extraordinary things, is what they usually say. I just think they're extraordinary people. So, you know, I am incredibly privileged to be able to work with them. Now, Chris has earlier on talked about our resource area. When I was presented with this slide, I did a double take. This is actually a picture. It's on a slight skew width, but if you turn your head to the side, this is actually a picture of what our resource area will look like. It is phenomenal compared to what we have now. I hope if anyone would like to go and see it, please make contact with us. Don't come in via the ambulance. But it is truly spectacular and will transform the care that we can deliver to our patients in that emergency setting. It really does bring us up into the whatever century we're in. Most importantly, it's been designed by our clinicians with a huge touch of reality from our estates department, who scratch their head and do the no, you can't have that. And then there's a little bit of debate. But anyway, we've got something that is truly spectacular for our patients. And there is a family area too. So for many people, when you are in that emergency situation, you find yourself in an emergency department, you might just need a breather from your loved one. You might need to have a conversation with somebody outside of sitting in front of them. So we have put all of that in. And I know Fran and the team are indebted to the workmen who have supported us, and I think they scratch their heads when I appear and say I've been thinking, but they have done an amazing job, so thank you to everyone for that. We also have, for those of you who have been to the Peddars Way unit, that's on the first floor. On the ground floor we've got an enhanced facility for a discharge lounge. And that again is truly spectacular. It's a wonderful place where people can go and wait before they are collected either by a loved one or by our hospital transport. And it will ensure that actually we can take people out of the emergency department. We have the capacity to have a bed there to take people who maybe need slightly more care than they otherwise would have traditionally received. So again, that new lounge will be a really good place for people to go, but it won't be for overnight care. And I know Simon's chomping at the bit for us to use it and max it out. We've talked about the diagnostic centre, and I'm assured that it will look like this, but I don't know that the car will always be parked in front of it. It is, you know, nearly £15 million coming into the area. We've got 3 across Norfolk and Waveney, and will make a huge difference for us being able to offer that outpatient capacity, but also for patients who are waiting diagnostics as an inpatient. You are often competing with, there's the booked list and you'll have to have the one at the end. This should enable us to have enough capacity to be able to give everybody what they need. So really excited to be able to open that in the not too distant future. We also have a butterfly garden, which I'm just looking is that way. So if you go out that back door, it's one of our courtyard areas, and it's an area where we worked with our maternity services who wanted us to be able to recognise that there are baby losses that individuals have. They wanted a quiet space where people could go, and where it would be just an area where they were zoned off from the rest of the hospital. It has actually, it is truly transformational compared to what was there, and has evoked a number of different emotions for people. A lot of people have said, actually, I had a baby loss, you know, what's going on now? I had a baby loss 40, 50 years ago and are still grieving that. So we are going to make sure that there is support for people. They can purchase a butterfly, and that butterfly will go into the ground. And we've worked with local artists to be able to provide those butterflies. So we will have that baby loss area, and then we've got the tree of life that we spoke about earlier on. You saw a picture of. The Peddars Way unit, for those that went up there this afternoon. Who went up this afternoon? Show of hands. Good. Amazing, yeah. And I have to say, you know, for somebody to receive end of life care, it's in a 6
Predominantly, it's in a 6-bedded bay, often in our ward areas, which are busy. They are very tight on space, and to be able to do this has just been phenomenal. So we're very grateful to the charity for that. And most importantly, we're very grateful to the League of Friends, who are going to fund the furniture that goes in it. Nikki and the team at the hospice have been phenomenal in giving us their support. You don't do it this way, do it this way, don't do it this way. And it is absolutely not to replace the hospice. The hospice we still need. We absolutely need you. This is about patients who are in their last 4 or 5 days of life and are too sick to move to the hospital, or maybe come in having had a catastrophic something, maybe a stroke, and we can take them straight up there. We'll be able to provide care for them and, most importantly, their loved ones. We only get one chance to get this right. I'm going to hand over to Chris now.
Right. Alice, thank you very much indeed. I'm going to be talking about the Youth Council, but before I did that, I just wanted to say a little bit about governance. Now, governance is most probably the most boring end of what we do, because it's not patient care, but it's what enables us to deliver patient care. And earlier on, I paid tribute to my colleagues on the board, but we've done a number of things that I think are worth mentioning, and one in particular. Every year, as you can imagine, because of succession planning, people come to the end of their time on a board. And we've just said goodbye to David Dickinson, who for 6 years was a wonderful member of our board, much valued and chair of our audit committee. We now have Saki Valley here on his first day in the trust, who's come to us to replace David, and we're delighted to welcome you. And we also have William van Toff, with a wonderful glittering career at Gosh and elsewhere in the National Institute for Health Research, who's joined us as well on the board. So that process of replacement carries on. But one of the great challenges we have in the NHS is, how do we attract the right talent to sit on our boards to keep us safe, to ensure that you, the patients, the staff and everybody can be assured that we are actually doing the right things in the right way. So I had this idea that I was going to recruit a cohort of people who knew nothing about the NHS, but who had really relevant skills that over a period of time, becoming associate non-executive directors, could actually become fully fledged, experienced and contributing members of boards. Norfolk is a particular challenge because it's a small county. Fortuitously, we do get people who retire here, who turn up and are willing to serve. William, I'm not looking at you, but which make a huge difference. So we have 3 associate heads with us, Daniel, Gabby and Jason. I'm not going to ask them to stand up, but they all have very, very relevant skills and joined us a few months ago and are already massively contributing. And we have another one, Andrea Finnegan, with particular financial skills, who's going to be joining us in September. This, I think, is really important because it brings us, in a sense, onto the Youth Council. And that is the importance of different voices coming in. It's very easy, far too easy, for specialist organisations like the NHS to become a little bit of an echo chamber. That you sort of get your heads down, you deal with the problems, and that's fine, and you get on with it. But that ability to come in and ask the right kind of questions, people with skills who look at it and say, that doesn't make sense to me. So that being held to account, being required to explain what we're doing in terms that people can understand, I think is a hugely important component of our work. And so, which brings me neatly on to the Youth Council. And we have here our partner in crime, I would say, in this, Alex Stewart and Healthwatch, who's with us today, who basically co-designed and supported us in this idea, this concept of a Youth Council. And it's really engaging with young people. We're well known in West Norfolk for lots of people who look like me, who are sort of, have their future more behind them than in front of them. And yet our young people are going to be doing our jobs in 10, 15, 20 years' time. So the earlier we engage with them, that we share that information and we listen to them, I think the richer is going to be our experience and the better informed we're going to be. And also, and this is one of the aims of the Youth Council, a wonderful portal for attracting young people into this health service. So it is the first of its kind in Norfolk. I have been in a trust where we created a youth council before, which made and continues to make a massive contribution, and that was in mental health. And we saw there quite a number of members of that youth council who have now gone on to build careers as mental health nurses and other practitioners in mental health. So it's a very rich source of talent and information. We launched it about 2-3 weeks ago. I was privileged enough to be at the HealthWatch AGM last week, was it, Alex, where it was showcased as a wonderful collaboration between HealthWatch and a trust. And we hope that this will lead to other colleagues in other organisations, not only the acutes, but hopefully in community and in mental health, in developing the same approach. It's aimed at young people between 16 and 25. Some of them may well be our members of staff. Others may be volunteers who come in. Others may be our apprentices. But listening to their voice and engagement with them will help shape our future. And that is what is really important. I think the other point that for me is really interesting is yet another link into the communities we serve. And it's actually a dimension of those communities that we really don't actually have much of a dialogue with. So really important. Now, the recruitment process runs until September, end of October. And I think we're targeting having a council board about 20 people, 25 people. 15 to 25. Sorry, I've got my prompt there. Who's giving me that? And so what I look forward to next year's annual general meeting, I won't be sharing what the Youth Council is doing with you. We'll have somebody from the Youth Council who will be sharing what they're doing with you. And I really look forward to that. Alex, do you want to say anything else?
Inspired listening to everyone say, the education program. And I think, as an old duffer who's lived in Norfolk for a while, I've got a very vested interest as well as having the youth come and take over our spaces, because we really do need them. We need to encourage them as much as we can. There's a wealth of talent out there. And today we were talking to police cadets about what they can do to our council helping. It's very much been opened up to the wider community. So hopefully we're up and running very shortly.
Great, thank you very much indeed. And also it's a testament, I think, to partnership working, in this case with HealthWatch. Well, that's a win-win then, that's brilliant. Great, I think that most probably covers all the presentations we need to make. So I'm going to throw it open to, oh, yes, of course we've got the video. Which one do I press? That one? Oh, that one there.
No, not that one.
This year, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital will be launching their brand new youth council made up of students, carers, young members of staff and volunteers in both the local community and the hospital itself. I'm here today at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital to tell you more about this youth council and how you can get involved yourself.
So the Youth Council will work with us as an organisation, they'll work with our governors, they'll work with our communities, and it's about ensuring that the decisions that we are taking are made with a cross-representation of our whole community, so from 16 to 25, but way and beyond, and that will be really, really important, that the decisions are communicated well and we know what our communities want.
The Youth Council will be frequently working alongside the governors themselves, providing a new, fresh insight on how things should be run here.
It's very important that we have some young people come and help us and tell us about how they think the hospital's working. There's a million different jobs in the hospital here. I've got the word doctor in front of my name, but I'm not a doctor, I'm an academic. We need to help people understand that there are lots and lots of different routes into working in the hospital, which are not just doctors and nurses, although they are absolutely vital to us.
The hospital aims to open up the Youth Council to all roles within the hospital and the local community, roles such as young carers, assistants, porters, nurses, and all young people hoping to seek a career within the health sector. I've already spoken to some of the young people within the local community about the Youth Council to gain their opinions and insights.
Obviously, as the employment force goes up, we need more young people in it to eventually take over from the older people. And I think that if we have a youth council, it allows younger people's voices to be heard.
I think it would be really beneficial for the hospital actually. I think it's really important to understand the issues that young people face in the workplace, and having a better understanding of that could help to grow the workforce. We're an increasingly growing young workforce.
Not a lot of young people preach their voice out to say what's improved, what's bad, so on, whereas much of the older people or the previous generation would have done that.
It gives a more diverse range of opinions, and people from lots of different backgrounds can share what they think.
It helps people with disabilities get a job here, and they experience what the hospital's actually like for working.
I feel like this would be a really key project to get people's voices heard, and people that may not want to speak up, there'll always be someone there to speak up for them.
The organisers of the Youth Council here at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital aim for the council to act as a step up for all those interested in a future career in healthcare, providing a broad avenue for looking to gain work experience in a hospital environment. As well as this, the Youth Council provides a fundamental skill set for your CV as well as in your future career.
If you've got something like an idea, you want that to be heard, I would say definitely join and make your voice heard.
I think it would make it more beneficial for the employer, and it would help to mirror those values like wellness and kindness and fairness that we have here in the hospital.
Let's now hear from some of those key figures who have a hand in running the Queen Elizabeth Hospital to tell you more about why you should sign up today.
I think the idea of the Youth Council is absolutely fantastic. I think we need to get those fresh minds, fresh eyes into the hospital, and I think it's going to be absolutely amazing.
The youth don't always have a voice because the hospital settings normally tend towards the older generation, and sometimes in the NHS as a whole can miss the youth. And I think the way it's going now at the moment, the youth do need a voice.
It's definitely going to be that foot in the door, get that insight into how we work. When you've been working here for so long, you get stuck in those routines of how you work, and actually you need that young person or fresh eyes to come in to help change our ways of working as well.
Our new hospital is a really exciting project and opportunity. We need to be able to make sure that everybody has had their voice. So whether it's patient care, whether it's research, education, communications, we need your voice and we need it heard.
All applications to the Youth Council are open to anyone from ages 16 to 25 years old.
So please do think about joining the Youth Council. We think it's first of its kind in Norfolk, and we really, really appreciate your help in forming the youth voice for the hospital.
More information can be found here, and be sure to look out for more information on Queen Elizabeth Hospital's social media pages, as well as Healthwatch Norfolk's pages. All links can be found in the description of the video.
So if you're not sure, come and ask us, but do get involved because it's really, really important. We need you, and our future relies on all of us, but especially you. So please do come. It's really exciting. It's a new venture for us, and we want you to be part of it. Thank you.
So, go back. Those email, and there's a web page as well. Okay, Q&A. Are there any questions? We do have a roving mic for those. Right, Chris. Do you want to wait for the mic, Chris? Coming to you.
It's just how do we make it go? Oh, it's working. Sorry, it's two things really.
to what extent do we think the alleged intention to invest in GP practices a bit more to relieve A&E will have an effect? And are we hoping that for our country will finally start to have a proper education service which teaches people from an early age about good health, which we do worse than anyone else in the whole of Europe?
You can start.
Right. So Chris's question was, I'll paraphrase it, so hopefully I'll get it right, was around GP practices and the work that they can do around supporting patients rather than coming here.
And investment.
And then investment in what was known as public health. So making sure people take responsibility for their own health. And I think certainly GP practices are looking straight at Carly and probably Fran from the front door as well, and Becca's pushing her hand up there to speak. But you know, we are working alongside GP practices in the area because that is really critical. And Carly and Rebecca, I know, have regular sessions with the GPs of an evening to look at things. I don't know if you want to say anything, Rebecca.
I suppose I was going to add that those 2 points.
Doesn't seem to be on.
Just shout.
Those 2 points are intrinsically linked because actually our way out of the current health crisis in the UK is better prevention, and it's been a field that's been massively invested in, and I think our GPs are primary in driving that forward. So for me, it's intrinsically linked, and it's absolutely what we need to help keep patients at home well longer, so they don't become patients, but when they do, that we've got the right services for them.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I think the other element, I've just been told that the microphone is for people who are on Teams, not for in the room. So if anybody needs the sound raised, I'll repeat the response. You just shout it. I was just going to say, and I'm sure Carly will have a word. The other thing that we've done, and I know Linda and the teams have been very successful in it, is going out to schools and talking to schools, and that's starting that process of, we don't provide the PHSE, but we do work with schools and with teaching staff to be able to offer advice and information, and we do a little bit of career advice while we're there as well. Right, Carly.
Thank you. So also just to recognise, we have Mark Whitmore and we have Joe Rust here, and they lead the work of the Kings Lynn Health and Wellbeing Partnership, which absolutely focuses on health inequalities and how we take that longer term view. We as a trust are working very, very closely with them. So just to reflect that there's a huge amount of work that's going on, of which we are part as well.
Thank you.
Great. We had a question over here.
Yes.
Right. I'll start, and then I'm going to pass on to Paul Brooks, as our Director of the Estates, who knows a lot more about it than I do. As always, the devil is going to be in the detail, and we don't know what the detail is. They have said that they're going to review the new hospital programme. We don't know what the scope of that review is going to be. I think there is a general view that the totality of what is being proposed at the moment is most probably unaffordable under present rules, but nevertheless, there will be sequencing. Paul.
I've been told I've got to stand over there.
No, he doesn't. I'll just tell you, he doesn't.
Because I'm little. So what I want to say is, since we joined the new hospital programme back in May last year, as an organisation, we've come on leaps and bounds in our preparation for the new hospital. We are at the best possible position we could be within that programme. We've overtaken other organisations that have been on the programme for a few years, and we are truly investment ready to go. What we now need is the new government and the legislation that they're trying to do with the Hospital 2.0 to be finalised, that programme to be finalised, and then we can start the work. So we're still on programme. It's getting tighter. I have to say it's getting tighter. We're still on programme. The programme we've got laid out that takes us to open the doors in 2030 is still valid, is still real. What we now need is the actions of others that are outside of our control to work with us. I think the review is a really good thing, and I think it will help support us as we go forward.
I mean, the 2030 deadline has not gone away. Both the outgoing government and the incoming government are very well aware of the pressures that RAC issues are presenting for all of the hospitals who look at traffic in RAC. As we know, there are 4 in our region. So we're well aware of it, and we've had no indication. So. Any further questions? Yes, Leslie.
You won't expect this question, but I'm Leslie Bambridge, and I am Norfolk County Council appointed as a governor. And this morning, while I raced back to get here, I was at the Health Overview Scrutiny Committee, and part of the presentation today was about the problems that are being experienced with speech therapy. So my question is, and you may have to send me a written answer, because I asked the presenter what I ought to be asking today. And she wondered, it was particularly about stammering, she wondered if any patients come in that don't have a stammer, and I don't mean people that have had strokes, but other patients, and if they do have a stammer when they come, when they've come into hospital and stayed in hospital, what do we do about it? So you may not be able to answer, but somebody can send me an email if that's all right.
Speech therapy everywhere. It is, you're absolutely right. And we've done a huge amount of work with our speech therapy colleagues, particularly thinking about the moment it's a profession where there are more roles than there are speech and language therapists. So we're doing some work with actually some speech and language therapists from Derbyshire who are running courses for training and developing and training and developing registrants of other disciplines to be able to provide some support immediately for patients who are inpatients. But around the stammering particularly, I'll come back to you and I'll ask, it's going to put her head down in a minute, but I'll ask him to make sure we can get that. Fine, thank you. Thank you for your very interesting question.
Are there any other questions, or does anybody want to make any observations? Yes, Betty.
Quite loud, actually. For those who don't know me, I'm from the Cambridgeshire side of and belong to, I've been one of the governors for quite a long time. Do we still have all the services, first of all, that we did at North Cambs? And is there any likelihood that we'll have other services over there, just to save us coming all this way?
My understanding is you still have everything.
Right.
I don't think there's anything that's being removed that we're aware of. Right. And there's been investment over there, particularly some of your diagnostics.
Well, I know that, but people might not know that.
Complicated. The site is owned by one trust, but there are 5 trusts working out of the not aware of any changes positively or negatively at the moment, but as far as we are aware, from our particular end, there are no changes to the services. And in fact, when I first started, the bottling, I think every day was on my desk with a complaint because there were too many waits, people were waiting outside, and we've made significant inroads in that to the point at which you can near enough roll up 2 minutes, you can book your appointment electronically. I think they were one of the first people to go electronic with their appointments. So it's a forerunner in North Camp.
Yes, it's still growing, isn't it? Really, all the things. I mean, I try and keep up to date, but on the other hand, people who live in Norfolk probably wouldn't know about it. Sorry.
There is also
Oh no, it's a pretty open door. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Betty. Anybody else? Yes.
Chairman, rather than
Yes,
a
of
question.
course. No, please do.
I've been a Brecon Council appointed governor now since 2015, and the way the hospital's moved on since then has been remarkable. And even this last year, with all your departments, you just told us what's going to open, the resource centre, that's taken you into the 22nd century, if you like. You know, it's already happening in Europe and in America, those sort of units, which helps both patients and their families. And I've just got to say, it's just amazing. And the Youth Council as well, as a champion of young people, well, an award-winning advocate of championing young people in Norfolk for 15 years. The Youth Council is just phenomenal, really. That is I've been championing young people, like I said, for at least 15 years, because they are our future, whatever where we are. So that's really good initiative taken on board. And if I can bring my 15 years experience of chairing Brecon Youth Advisory Board and the Youth Advisory Boards across Norfolk, then I can I'll be glad to give an input. But and just there is one little question actually. The end of life unit, which is fantastic, which will help families, obviously. I assume, will it be 24-hour, 7 days a week care? And are you confident you will have the staff to dedicate themselves to that unit?
Yeah, it will be a nurse unit. We'll still have those people, but clearly people are entering different phase in their life. We have got a number of staffing options. We've got some core staff, and then what we want to be able to do is, I'm looking at paper, is to rotate staff into the unit for periods of time. I mean, not just 3 days, but 6 months, 12 months, so that people get that experience and develop themselves, and then be able to take that back to main wards. So yes, we are confident we will staff it. We don't have any concerns about that. We'll be 24 hours a day, 7 days.
Yeah, you just mentioned as well, rotating staff on a regular basis working there.
It wouldn't be any good for their health and well-being either, would it? So that's good. You're thinking of that. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And yes, please, your kind of help on the council side. That. Right. There's nothing else you're looking at me very expectantly. Alex, no? Right. You want to say something? Yeah.
So firstly, I just want to say nobody can leave without a full suite of documents, and please look at page 241 or whatever it was. The important thing is, again, for the second year, we've got our easy reads of our annual report and also our quality account. They were really popular last year. I think probably I read through a fair number, but they really do offer all of our communities the ability to be able to read what is otherwise, apart from Chris, a very long tome that not everyone manages to read every word. So please do help yourself. Those are over there. I'll put them down. I feel a bit like Blue Peter now. The other thing is I just want to say a few thank yous. So again, thank you to our volunteers who guided you into the building and hopefully guided you into the right place. We also want to thank those people that have been involved in this afternoon through having the stalls and stands out there, through all our presenters, because you've done an amazing job, so thank you very much. And then also to all of our colleagues who are part of the trust. We work, as I said, we work with some amazing people. I have a group of colleagues sat to my right hand side who I'm indebted to, so thank you very much. And to the trust board who on the straight and narrow, to our governors who make sure that we do what we're supposed to, and to all of you who absolutely, this is why we do our jobs, to make it better for other people. I want to thank Stuart Nimmo, if he's still in the room, and the catering team, has he left? And the catering team, and there better be a cheese got left for me, out of trouble. But seriously, they are absolutely incredible. They're very used to me saying, I've been thinking, and can we have it in the next couple of hours? They are an amazing team, and we are one of the few organisations that still cooks right from scratch for all of our patients. We have a midnight cafe to make sure that our staff are fed overnight, and that goes through till 2 o'clock in the morning. So if you're out and about in Kingsland and you want to meal, You're very welcome. And then finally, I just want to say a huge thank you to our communications team. They are tired of me saying, can you just change? Can you just move? Can you just do? But they have done an absolutely phenomenal job. And there is one particular person who gives me her stare, and I know not to ask for any more. But we just want to say a huge thank you to you all. Thank you. And then without any further ado, thank you so much for bearing with us. I think probably we've done quite well in this room because we've had air conditioning. I think it's about 35 degrees outside, so we'll keep them together. Have a safe trip home and we will see you next year. Thank you.